Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today in this video tutorial we're gonna see how we can read the data from CSV using Logstash and send it to Elasticsearch. But this time we will also see how we can sanitize the data and make changes to the data before it goes to the Elasticsearch with the help of a couple of filters that is available with Logstash. So in the previous video, we have sent some random 100 records to Elasticsearch, but it was just simply reading the data from the file, CSV file, and dumping it into the Elasticsearch without doing any much of data massage or sanitization. So this time we will go ahead and do the data sanitization. For this purpose, we will be using 4 filters provided by Logstash, which is Mutate, Filter, Remove Field, Add Field, and Translate. So as the name suggests, these filters are quite self-explanatory. Mutate is when you want to change the column name or something, do that with the column. Remove field is obviously it is possible that when you're reading some CSV file, you might have let's say 20 columns in a CSV, but you only want to read or send 10 columns from that CSV to Elasticsearch. In that case, you can read all the columns, but then remove some fields. Or then you will say, why read all the columns if you want to apparently remove them? So it is possible that you want to read all the columns, take the data from those columns, but instead of sending it as is, you can make append it to another column or do some functions on the basis of that column, and then don't send it to Elasticsearch. So that is also possible. And it is also possible to add a new field depending upon certain criteria or certain factors that you have, the kind of a data you have in your CSV. You can also add field. And translate similarly is also another good function for the data massaging, where you can on the basis of one function, you can add another function. On the basis of one field, the value in the CSV, you can add another value, or maybe just modify the same value in a way that for example, let's say if you have a column where you have a list of countries available, and another column where you have phone numbers of people without any country code. So you can create a dictionary of all the country codes with the country name, and then what you can do is like read the column, let's say column C, with the country name, and then look into the dictionary, see the country code for the column, and then do the concatenation for the phone number. So it's like for if there's a US phone number, you can just add +1 and then the phone number. So translate helps you do that. So okay, that's I think sufficient knowledge for now. We will move ahead with the code to see how we can put this into action. So as you might have seen, if you have not seen the previous video, I will share the link in the description for the previous video, so you can watch the video on how we did it. But to read the data from a CSV using Logstash, we need at least 2 sections of a config file. One is the input, where you read the input from where your data is coming from, you define that, and the another is output. So then you tell where your data is going to. So in the last video also, we have used just these 2 parameters, input and then output. But now we will be using filter as well, so that we can use all those filters accommodation. So in the input, you define the path. So this would be the path to your config file, to your CSV file, and and then you define a start position. So there are different parameters available you can choose, but in our case we will just use from beginning. I'll just comment this code, this text, so that we are okay. Yeah, it is not a problem. Yeah, okay. So if you have seen the previous video, you know that we have done a local setup of Elasticsearch, Kibana, and Logstash to send the data, and not using any cloud services. If you have been following that video and now watching this one, and you want to restart your Logstash and Elasticsearch and Kibana, make sure that you check your Kibana logs, and at the end of the file you will see an IP address for the local host. In most of the cases, it is changed to your LAN address, LAN local address, which starts from 192.168 or something like that. And it is also possible that you might not have the same address on the LAN. It is changed. So in that case, you can run a ifconfig or ipconfig kind of a tool and see what your IP is, like local IP, not the internet IP. The one which starts with 192, and you can replace it with the current IP that you have, so it is available. So your Logstash, your Elasticsearch will still be available on localhost 9200, but that IP where Kibana communicates with Elasticsearch might have been changed. So in path, it is mandatory that you mention the full path for where your CSV file is. So relative paths doesn't work. So I'm just it is probably 100 people.csv, but we can check. So this is and then you define Elasticsearch because we want to send the data to Elasticsearch, and then you define hosts where you mention the IP address. So in our case, it is localhost 9200. This works for Logstash. Localhost 9200 works. That's fine. Then you define the index where you want to send the data. So we will be doing, like, let's just say it's March 3. That's the index name we want to send the data to. Then username is because we are working locally and we have a basic authentication setup, so we will be providing username and password to Logstash so that it can use that and configure. So I have the password saved over here. So just in case you don't remember the password from last session, or you might have missed it, because when you run Elasticsearch first time you will get the password, but in case you have missed it, you have a binary in your Elasticsearch folder. So you go into bin/Elasticsearch-reset-password. I'll just write it down over here. So you just execute Elasticsearch, reset password, and then it will and the username. So you say bin Elasticsearch reset password, and then the username that you want to change the password. The Elastic user is the root user, which comes default with the setup. So you do this, it just asks you whether you're sure you want to change the password, and then you say yes, and it changes the password and prompts it on your machine, like on your screen, so that you can use it. So this looks like fine, that we don't need anything else. So now for the mutate filter, we will just look up to Logstash official page. So yeah, over here what we can do is, like, inside the filter we can define mutate and then say rename. So you want to rename, like, let's say this is the column name that is coming from your CSV file, and you want to change it to something else. So that's possible. And also, so if you have multiple mutations in the filter, then this is the sequence that it will be executed in. So rename, update, and these are all the actions that you can do with mutate. So rename, update, replace, convert, etc. You can read that. So we will take rename, and we will go here and we say, let's say, I'm not going into much details of like because I have the CSV that I got have like at least 50 or 60 columns, so I will not go ahead and rename all of them, but I will just do one. So I want to rename my column 1 to email, because that's what I remember out of my mind, that okay, the first column is email. So this is so rest all the columns will be like this only. And then Okay, and also we also need to read this, use the CSV filter, which I missed over here. So CSV filter is required to read the CSV file, and so I have used CSV, and then I have defined the columns from my CSV. So I say column 1, 2, 3, and all the columns that I have in my CSV that I want to read. So it goes all throughout 65, and okay, so mutate filter is this. Then we will say remove field, and again we will go into Logstash to see remove field filter. Okay, so remove field is also a part of the mutate filter. So what you do is okay, documents. Okay, so I have my CSV file opened over here, and I can see that we can use this that translate to on the basis of column 13, which is like uh, the department, in my opinion, that sales, support, engineering, consulting, etc. So let's see how we can transpose this translate this value into something else. So let's say it is column 13, and then the target would be, let's say, translated department, and then what we can do is like we can say sales, and instead of sales, wherever there is sales, we can say this is sales department. Sorry for the typo. And engineering should be same, engineering department, and then we say consulting is consulting department. Okay, then it's not really, yeah. So and then here's the fallback. So in case the column 13 is something which is not sales, engineering, or consulting, what we can say is like just like write a random value, default value, set a default value to to the column, to translated department column. So yes, I think this is sufficient information available for Logstash to transfer our data from CSV to Elasticsearch, and let's save this. So Logstash 3.conf, I'll save it as a conf on desktop. So we have saved it. Right. Okay. We should get rid of this value. Save it. Cancel. All right. So now let's go to Logstash. And if you have Logstash running, make sure that the since.db file is either deleted or removed, because it's possible in this test environment we are again and again using the same file, and even even if we are not in the test environment on the production as well, if Logstash is stopped for some reason and running again, and you expect it to run on different set of files or something, but Logstash have kind of a cache the values that which files it has used, it has read, and until what line number or something like that. It has that records, and it try to restart from the same last endpoint checkpoint, I would say. So what we can do is like we can go into data and then plugins, inputs, file, and then you will see, okay, so because it's hidden file, so dot files lsla, so you will see since db path. It is okay to delete all of them in test environment, like while you're working on your local, but on production be careful before you delete anything like this. So since db, okay, I'll say just delete since db all of them. So lsla, now I do not have any since db, and I'll go back to Logstash and I will say, okay, fine, bin Logstash, and then, oh, sorry, so document, sorry, desktop, and then Logstash 03. So, okay, it will take a minute or two, so I will pause this video and come back once we have the data sync. Okay, so I ran Logstash. I also ran into two problems because some incorrect values in the config file. So first is like when you define an input, you will also have to define a block before putting the path or start position. So because we were reading data from file, we have to add a block which says file. And because Logstash can read from multiple sources, so it could be file or MySQL, S3 or something like that. There are so many integrations that come from for Logstash. So we have to mention this, and I forgot to use this block, and it was throwing an error. After that, you should also take care that you have to add CSV. I've also mentioned this in the previous video that I have recorded, that you for local certificate, for local setup, you will get this certificate in the Elasticsearch folder inside the config certs and then the CSV. If you're hosting somewhere on the cloud, then in most of the cases you don't use basic authentication. What you do is like you use access token and a secret. So in that case, most probably you won't need this certificate, but if you do, then the cloud provider will tell you how to configure it or how to find this certificate. So now we go into the stack management, and because I have this camera over here, I cannot see, but yeah, on the management you go all the way down and you will see stack management. So I can maybe let's see how I can navigate. And integrations, no. Okay, maybe I will just management, stack management. Yeah, so now you click on index management and you will see the data. So March 3 is the index that is now available, and if you see that I have used the index name March 03, so that's why we have the data over. So you can see this one is like 555 KB, and if you click on mappings, it will show you like what all the columns are there and what is the value that is being used, like kind of like data types, you can say. And then you have some more information. So you can also do some stuff with here manage index, but that's something later we will discover. So right now you don't need to do anything further over here in the index management. In the previous versions of Elasticsearch, you had to create the index manually, but now it is available right here. So when you go into discover, what you can do is like just start typing mark. So asterisk is something which is very useful in Elasticsearch. You can have multiple indexes in Elasticsearch. Let's say, for example, if you are indexing the data on per day basis, so you can have indexes just like March 3, 4, etc. This is just an example, but you can have similar indexes. So instead of defining all of them one by one by explicitly mentioning the name, what you can do is like you can take a common string, mostly starting of the string, which is common in all the indexes, and you can say asterisk. So all the data that is available in all those indexes will be available under this one. So yes, we can say March star, and then it says like there is one matching index. So like we click on this one, and then you have the data available over here. Yeah. So, but as I see right now, yeah, so there is so much data, and let's see. Okay. All right. So these are the columns that came from the CSV. All the columns suffixed by some number, and okay, over here we got email. So this is the column that we have modified. So most probably you won't see column 1 over here because that is the one we have renamed. So yes, we don't have column 1 here because that is being renamed as email. So that's done. And yeah, and when you're reading log file from CSV or something, you also have the path, like which file this data is coming from. And this is the short name, and it says this is a custom value because we have hard coded it. And this is the translated department. So if you remember, we have mentioned that if the department is engineering, then we should say engineering department, the data coming from column 13 and going into a custom column translated department. So we see this over here. Yeah, so that's that. So okay, because we did not remove the column 13, so original column also exists, engineering, but you also have a column added into this. And also we have removed one column, so column 2 has been removed. Let's just check. So if there was a column 2, it should be somewhere over here before column 20, but it's not. So that's a good thing. Yeah, so that's it for today's session, and there is a lot more. There's like so many things you can do with Logstash. So in the coming sessions, we will also go ahead and discover how we can write custom Ruby code in Logstash, because Logstash is something written in Ruby, and you can write your own Ruby code if you want to. Like if there is some special need, some custom requirements for your data only, which is not available, because in Logstash a lot of things are available out of the box, so you don't need to do anything custom. But in case you have such a requirement where you need to have custom logic in your data, so you can write Ruby code in it and sanitize your data as per your requirement. So that is one thing. And in the coming sessions, I'm looking forward to create something with reading data from MySQL or sending it to AWS. So yeah, I think that's it, and I would request you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You can comment in the comment section so that we can have some conversations going on, and stay tuned. Thank you.